I recently got a preview code for Wasteland 2, which is a post-apocalyptic RPG still in development by In Exile Entertainment. While it's the sequel to the original Wasteland, which came out way back in 1988, it's also really commonly referred to as the spiritual predecessor to the original Fallout game, and as someone who has spent a whole lot of time with the Fallout franchise, the parallels are still definitely there with Wasteland 2. So I guess I start with the basics of how it's actually played. You start with a party of 4 characters who you control as a group while you're traveling around, or individually during the turn-based combat sequences, and get to level up with a fairly extensive skill tree. There are pre-made characters available, or you can make your own from scratch, and the world is full of challenges that only the right character with the right skills will be able to overcome particularly easily. That said, because there are so many different skills, it'd be really hard to have a fully well-rounded team. The combat itself runs on a pretty standard turn-based system, with each character using their AP or action points to move or attack, and your squad is that of the Desert Rangers, a group of soldiers and survivalists whose duty it is to keep an eye on the wasteland and all of that weird stuff that goes with it. When you actually leave a city or town, you start wandering through the waste and the survival aspects of the game kick in. There's a Geiger counter that warns you of radiation, as well as some really obvious clouds of radiation just kind of scattered around, but also a water indicator. Every time you take a step, you use up some of your water supply. If you run out of water, your party will eventually die, making every single step you take actually purposeful. This isn't a game that you can just thoughtlessly run through. So my journey started with what I assume will stay as the start of the game. Someone has died and it's your job to figure it out. And while the way that situation was all set up was perfectly interesting, it just wasn't what I wanted to do straight away. A great thing about Wasteland 2 so far is the amount of detail on offer at all times. You can click on virtually anyone to talk to them, and then you're given a ton of dialogue options to click on or type in to gather a wealth of information. It's not even information though. Almost every single NPC you talk to has a fully fleshed out, unique backstory. You can find out why they're there, what they're doing, what they think of you, and what they think of anyone else in their own little story that just flows along and tells itself. A lot of the dialogue is actually voiced too, which is surprising when there's so much of it. The world itself has hundreds of stories to tell as well. See, I didn't get to experience a lot of this, but every single choice you make in the game and the way you react to each encounter will affect another part of the game. From people judging you to an entire other story arc, Wasteland 2 is set to be an evolving adventure. And keep in mind that reacting to something can include just completely ignoring it, which might lead to people chastising you for not helping those other people, and thus refusing to help you in some way. The beauty of it is that it isn't obvious. Every playthrough of this game will be fully owned by the individual player and not the other way around. Wasteland 2 will never own you or tell you how to finish anything. Of course, I'll be able to tell you guys more about it when I fully review it in a few weeks, and the game is set to release on the 19th of September on PC, Mac, and Linux.